We like tidy stories about how progress happens, clever people, clever ideas, careful experiments. But a surprising number of the technologies and medical breakthroughs that changed daily life began with accidents, unexpected observations that curious people didn't ignore. Today we'll tell 4 of those stories: penicillin, X-rays, the microwave oven, and Viagra. Each is different. Some are lab curiosities, some are industrial byproducts, and some are clinical surprises. But all share a common thread: chance plus attention, followed by deliberate follow-through. Our first stop is a sticky agar plate in a notoriously untidy London laboratory. In 1928, bacteriologist Alexander Fleming returned from holiday to a forgotten culture plate contaminated with mold. It was pure serendipity born from messiness. Instead of discarding it, he looked closer. Around the fuzzy mold, the Staphylococcus bacteria he'd been studying were dissolving. A clear, bacteria-free halo had formed, a microscopic battlefield where the mold was winning. He identified the intruder as a species of penicillium and named its bacteria-killing substance penicillin. But his discovery, published in 1929, didn't change medicine overnight. The active compound was incredibly unstable and difficult to isolate. For nearly a decade, it remained a fascinating but impractical laboratory curiosity. The real transformation began on the eve of World War II at Oxford University. A team led by Howard Florey and Ernst Chain resurrected Fleming's research. Using new purification techniques like freeze-drying, they produced a stable powder. Their first human trial showed its power. A policeman with a deadly infection recovered miraculously, but when their tiny supply ran out, he tragically relapsed and died. The case highlighted the desperate need for mass production. A key breakthrough was using corn steep liquor, a byproduct of corn processing, which dramatically boosted yield. With Britain under siege, Florey took the science to the United States. An unprecedented government-industry collaboration developed deep fermentation techniques and found a more potent mold strain on a cantaloupe. By D-Day, enough penicillin was produced to treat all Allied wounded, saving countless lives. The story of penicillin teaches a profound lesson. Fleming's lucky observation was the essential spark, but it was only the start. Converting that spark into a world-changing therapy required a decade of dedicated research, brilliant chemical engineering, and massive industrial investment. Without that tireless follow-through, the mold on Fleming's plate would have remained just an interesting footnote in the history of bacteriology. Our next story begins with an eerie glow in a darkened lab. In late 1895, physicist Wilhelm Röntgen was studying cathode rays in a shielded tube when he noticed a fluorescent screen across the room begin to glow. It was an impossible observation. The screen was far from the tube, and nothing visible was hitting it. He knew he had stumbled upon something entirely new. Röntgen realized a new kind of penetrating radiation was being produced. He methodically tested these mysterious X-rays, finding they passed through paper and wood, but were blocked by bone and metal. He then asked his wife, Anna Bertha, to place her hand in the beam. The resulting image, the world's first radiograph, revealed her bone structure and wedding ring in ghostly detail. Röntgen published his findings immediately, and the news spread with unprecedented speed. Clinicians saw the value instantly. For the first time, surgeons could see inside a living body without cutting, locating fractures and bullets with newfound precision. The technology leapt from discovery to clinical adoption, astonishingly fast for the era. But this initial frenzy came with a dark side. The invisible nature of X-rays meant their dangers were unknown. Early experimenters suffered radiation burns, and public fascination led to reckless applications, like shoe-fitting fluoroscopes in department stores. The utility was immediate, but understanding the risks would take years. Over the ensuing decades, the technology was refined. Safety standards were established, and crude glass plates evolved into sensitive digital detectors. Later, Connecticut scanning turned that original curiosity into an entire field of medical imaging, saving countless lives. Röntgen's discovery shows another facet of serendipity: the observational rigor to test an anomaly, the vision to document its potential, and the discipline to share results quickly. He didn't just see a glow, he investigated it, transforming an accident into a medical revolution. Our third story switches context to the high-stakes world of wartime technology. an industrial radar workshop in the 1940s. At Raytheon, self-taught engineer Percy Spencer was working to improve the magnetron, the high-power vacuum tube that generates microwaves for radar. One day, while standing near an active magnetron, he found the candy bar in his pocket had melted. Intrigued, Spencer's curiosity took over. He sent for popcorn kernels and placed them near the device. To the astonishment of his colleagues, they began to pop. He then tried an egg, which cooked so rapidly from the inside out that it exploded. This dramatic demonstration proved the microwaves had incredible heating potential. This simple observation led to the prototype microwave oven. Raytheon quickly patented the technology and, in 1947, unveiled the first commercial model, the Radarange. It was an industrial giant, standing nearly 6 feet tall and weighing 750 pounds. With a price tag of $5,000, over $60,000 today, it was initially confined to restaurants and institutional kitchens. The path from this giant to the countertop appliance was long. The primary challenge was safety. Engineers had to figure out how to contain the radiation, leading to the crucial invention of door interlock switches that instantly cut power when that door is opened. Alongside safety, they developed user-friendly timers and controls, making the technology accessible for home use. Once engineers solved leakage, controls, and standardization, the microwave became ubiquitous. The microwave story emphasizes the industrial side of serendipity, a hands-on engineer noticing an unexpected effect. But it also shows that the true innovation lies in the follow-through, the decades of design, safety testing, and mass production needed to turn a scientific quirk into a safe, affordable, and practical product. Finally, a modern pharmaceutical surprise, sildenafil, later branded as Viagra. Initially developed to treat angina and heart disease, sildenafil's clinical trials produced an unexpected effect: improved erectile function in many male participants. Rather than discard a compound that failed at its first intended target, Pfizer redirected clinical testing toward erectile dysfunction, showing both efficacy and acceptable safety. Viagra became a blockbuster, shifting social conversations, prescribing norms, and pharmaceutical marketing. The Viagra case highlights another route. A drug's side effects can reveal entirely new therapeutic uses. Here, the serendipity was clinical observation during structured trials, but the pivot required careful regulatory work and focused clinical testing to create a safe, approved therapy. Across these 4 episodes, several patterns stand out. First, the initial observation is necessary but not sufficient. Fleming's plate, Röntgen's fluorescent screen, Spencer's melted candy, and Viagra's trial participants were starting points. Second, the quality of the follow-up matters. Replication, mechanism studies, safety evaluations, and engineering scale-up determine whether an accident becomes a tool. Third, institutions and individuals who can redirect resources quickly, whether labs, corporations, or funding agencies, make the difference between a footnote and a revolution. There are ethical and social dimensions too. Penicillin's development involved multiple contributors and required global cooperation to scale. The rapid adoption of X-rays in early medicine came with lessons. Proper dosimetry and understanding radiation risk only emerged after early overexposure harmed some patients. Microwaves required safety standards to protect consumers. Viagra's social impact raised debates about medicalization, advertising, and how conditions become framed as treatable. Good storytelling about serendipity is not hagiography. It's a balanced account that celebrates curiosity while acknowledging trade-offs, power structures, and the social context that decides which accidents are pursued. From a practical standpoint, how should scientists and institutions respond to the unexpected? Funders can preserve small, flexible pots of money for exploratory work. Labs can train researchers to keep rigorous notebooks and to set aside curiosity-driven time. Companies can implement formal pathways to evaluate failed projects for unexpected effectiveness. And regulatory agencies can offer adaptive approaches for repurposing compounds when side effects suggest new uses. These policies don't guarantee breakthroughs, but they improve the odds that lucky observations are noticed and pursued responsibly. Educationally, these stories illustrate the scientific method as broader than hypothesis testing. Observation and pattern recognition, often messy and human, are part of discovery. Teaching that process matters, Students who learn to notice anomalies, document them carefully, and design simple follow-ups are more likely to participate in discoveries, serendipitous or otherwise. Before we finish, a caution. Serendipity can be romanticized in ways that mislead. We should not assume that breakthroughs happen because of lucky randomness alone. Many accidents are visible only because decades of background knowledge made them interpretable. Fleming recognized antimicrobial activity because microbiology provided the conceptual framework. Spencer understood microwaves because radar engineering existed. Accidents occur in fertile soil. The right infrastructure, education, labs, instrumentation, and a culture of curiosity makes serendipity useful. The history of penicillin, X-rays, the microwave, and Viagra shows both the contingency of discovery and the structured work needed to make inventions real. Chance opens a door. Human curiosity and institutional follow-through walk through it. If you enjoyed this exploration of the accidental side of science, subscribe for more carefully researched deep dives into the experiments, technologies, and decisions that shaped our world. Thanks for watching.